Welcome to this video series on perfecting presentation delivery. In this session, we will cover handouts and if you should use them, speech and first impressions, and those three topics will be covered in video 1, this video. Then we've got video 2, which is all about the delivery. And in video 3, which is a shorter one, we'll look at fear of public speaking, the bad stuff, and post-session Q&As, which stands for question and answer. Now, one of the most important things we do when we produce a presentation or poster is we have to think of the audience. You may consider the speaker's pace, signposting techniques and phrases, position and posture, and voice and tone. And all of these things, hopefully, will be covered as we move through this video series. So part 1, handouts. And the important question here is, why would you use handouts? Okay, so you need a valid reason to use handouts. We don't just want to use them for the sake of using handouts. So is there information for the audience to walk away with at the end of the presentation? Do you need to show them diagrams, charts, or frameworks which may not work as well on the presentation itself? Are there useful references you may want to send the audience away with some further reading to do? And you may just want to include information that complements what you've got on the slides. And you want to try to avoid, if you do use handouts, to avoid replication. So decide when the handout process should be taken place, if handouts are something that you're going to use, and make sure it is relevant and a valuable inclusion to your presentation. Part 2, we will look at speech and different ways in which you can deliver the presentation with a written speech or notes, or with no notes. So the written speech, okay, if you plan to deliver a presentation with a written speech, then it's important to write it in a special way to include language fillers. It should be well spaced and it should direct you, the reader of the speech, to pause and vary pace. And it's best to use short paragraphs and large font so you don't struggle to read what you have written. Now, there are some risks, and one of those is reading too fast. It's something we tend to do when we get nervous. Losing your place within the speech can sometimes add a difficult element to the presentation. Speaking in a monotone voice or misstressing words, losing your connection with the audience. So when you tend to look down and read from the speech, you lose some of that eye contact and that engagement that you can have physically with the audience. And also you can forget which slide you're meant to be on if you don't have those cues written into the speech in a really understandable manner. Now, a speech just with notes, so not a full written speech, but with short notes. Okay, you want to ensure the notes reference the correct slide, the number, the pages, and attach firmly in the correct order. You don't want to have your pages all jumbled just before you start your presentation. Use notes to start you off, so more like a prompt on cue cards in front of you rather than a full written speech. Display the notes with plenty of gaps to help you apply pauses in the delivery. Use a board or print notes on card. So as I've mentioned, cue cards you could use, and this might help you. Write prompts or guide notes in a smaller, lighter font. And then you have a speech with no notes. So a speech with no notes, if you're really familiar with your presentation, you may well be able to speak without any notes whatsoever. The slides themselves might become your visual prompts. And if you build your slides in a logical manner and you have those short bullet points, then they can act as prompts for you to start speaking about that actual slide or topic or piece of information. A printout of the slide presentation with some key elements highlighted in is useful in case you miss a point. But the risks again can be a tendency to ramble, forgetting to change slides, but still talking as if you were working through the slides, forgetting important points, and running out of time. Because if you do ramble, then you could run out of time. And if this is a presentation for an assignment and you have 15 minutes, you will get cut off, or you will get prompts that your 15 minutes are about to end. Now, one thing you could do, and it's something that I do in presentations, is to use a timer on your phone and get it to set off some kind of alarm halfway through your presentation. Now, part 3, and again, it's quite an important part, is first impressions. Now, first impressions. If this was an in-person presentation, as they typically are, then you want to say your name and a small introduction. You want to command the space when you're walking up. You want to command the audience. You want to think of your stance that you're going to use. You want to try and look as confident as possible when you're coming up to do your presentation. And also, you want to have kind of welcoming gestures for the audience as well. One thing you do want to do when you are delivering these presentations in person is think about the pauses. Make sure you're pausing on a regular basis so you give the audience time to digest the information that you're giving. And then also you want to have some kind of power and control over the audience. Try to keep them engaged throughout the entire presentation by changing the tone of your voice, changing the pace in which you deliver, stressing words that you really want them to hear. And think about all of those things when you do deliver a presentation in person. Now, if you're going to deliver a person online, which we have been doing recently, you want to be ready to share your slides when asked. Again, you need to say your name and a small introduction. You want to ensure that you still have that confidence in your delivery. Okay, so it might be best to maybe practice delivering into a laptop, because that's typically what you'll be doing if it's online, or recording yourself deliver your presentation online, which you then upload to your assignment portal. You want to ensure that you have your video. Okay, it's much more. It's especially for a presentation where you're delivering your research. It's a good addition to have your video live. So whether that's opening up your camera when you are delivering through a video chat, or having an insert video when you're delivering a presentation as a recorded presentation has a video. If you are delivering live, you want to check your connectivity and ensure that your internet connection is viable beforehand. Again, you want to pause to give the reader or the audience that time to digest the information, and ensure everyone is ready before you start delivering. So you can ask if everyone's ready, and if you have no response, typically that means that everyone is ready to go.